There we go. What's up there, beautiful people? We did it! We did it, we did it, we did it. You did it! First and foremost, happy Friday. We are doing this a little later than what we have been this week, so I appreciate you all rolling with me. And I am feeling a little sweet bitter. I had so much fun hanging out with you all this week and inviting you into the 20K by Christmas challenge. This is our final day, day 5, part 5. And we started to bring everything together yesterday, and today is really going to be that celebration, culmination of everything that we've gone through this week. And so I hope you are all ready, okay? I am, or so I think. And there is a lot that I want to go through with each and every single one of you. So to those of you joining in live, thank you. Please let yourself be known in the comments so that I can see you. Those of you tuning into the replay, thank you for being here. And I want to hear your biggest takeaways, your insights, your breakthroughs so far. I have been receiving a lot of private messages, people sharing the decision you've been making, the plans you're making, just the internal shifts that are happening. So please, 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 please keep them coming. If you have no idea what's happening, if you've been living under the rock, you're like, ooh, 20K by Christmas, sounds kind of fun, let me check it out. And if you're tuning into this video and you have no idea what's going on, let me very briefly catch you up to speed, and then we'll be diving right in, right? So just for those of you who are new in the room, 20K by Christmas challenge started as an idea. It's something that right now I am doing with our entire global Enagic team. And it started really just like as a thought, as a game. And we essentially said, hey, wouldn't it be fun to do something like this? Because this time of year can be a lot. It can also be a lot because entrepreneurs tend to have this habit of trying to take everything they did not do or they did not accomplish this entire year and cram it into the final few weeks of the year. And hi, love. And I really wanted to create a really supportive, really playful, and also really valuable space for yes, those that are close to me in my inner circle, in my world, right? That's people on our team, that's my private coaching clients, but also my social media community, right? And so I decided to make it open and available to the public. And really this week, we have been doing the prep work, if you wish, because as of tomorrow, November 1st, right? As of November 1st, you pretty much have 7 full weeks before the week of Christmas, right? Or depending on whatever winter holiday you celebrate, right? Might be slightly different, but you have a pretty good takeoff strip, right? You have a pretty good stretch of time in order to impress yourself, okay? And the way that we have been approaching this challenge so far is that each day had a very specific theme and a very specific focus, right? And the focus was not random, right? My desire with this challenge was to really remove any sort of confusion that you might have around what goes into taking your ideas and your desires and your goals and actually turning them into reality, right? And I keep saying over and over that this is not a manifestation challenge, okay? This is, even though we do a lot of different, integration exercises, right? And stuff like that, this is really a sales challenge. This is an action-driven sales challenge because Sales is how we make money on demand. In the context of business, in the context of entrepreneurship, sales is the vehicle through which you change other people's lives and you get compensated for it, right? In a form of money coming to you, right? I always say that payments, commissions, all of that good stuff, right? That's literally people saying thank you with their resource of money. And so this is a sales challenge first and foremost. Yes, we talk a lot about mindset and yes, we talk a lot about energetics, but ultimately every single thing that we have been discussing so far has been with the intention to support you in mastering having enrollment conversations and mastering sales as an art form, right? And sales as your way of leadership, understanding that sales get to be a natural extension of you, right? And the more comfortable you are in that space, the more momentum you will be able to create, the more fun you're gonna have, the more abundance you're gonna open yourself up to. And so just in case you are unclear, okay, this is a sales challenge, all right? If you have no idea who I am, my name is Maria. I've been doing this for almost 2 decades. I am a coach through and through, and I have supported hundreds of clients over the years across many different industries, starting from ballroom dancing. That's my past life in this life. I was a coach for competitive couples. I was a competitive dancer myself for many, many years, right? Then I went into marketing and advertising and eventually into online business and entrepreneurship. In the last 5 years alone, I've made over 15 million in sales. And if there is one thing that I would love to instill in every single leader, in every single entrepreneur out there, is that sales is one of the most valuable, one of the most reliable and dependable skills that you could ever develop. Because if you know how to sell what it is that you do out in the world, you will always be in control of your life, right? You will never be out of a job. You will never be out or short on opportunities, and you will always, always, always get to be of service to other people. Now, if I were to take you on a journey of what we have covered so far, right? We started with the foundation, with the most important piece, that if you're gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna make 20K by Christmas, or whatever number you are going after, it does not matter, right? Your goal might be 10,000, 20,000, 30, 50. Hold on, loves. Okay. Can you just give me thumbs up? Okay, can you just give me thumbs up that you can see me and hear me? Because people are trying to call me. Don't do that. Don't call me right now. We started at the foundation, right? We started with cultivating certainty in your desired outcome, right? Emotional conviction is one of those things that if you have an emotional conviction, it doesn't matter what strategy you choose. It doesn't matter what you decide to focus on in terms of what you want to be selling in this season. If you have emotional conviction in your path, in your goal, in your vision, in your process, right? You're good. You're golden. Everything else gets to be a game and an experimentation, and you get to have a lot of fun along the way. Right? So emotional conviction is one of those things that, it makes everything else easier, right? I'm not saying it's the only thing that is required, but if you have emotional conviction in your desired outcome and you have this basic foundation of self-trust, right? And you trust yourself to figure things out. You trust yourself to do the work. You trust yourself to keep going and keep iterating and keep distilling the wisdom of your own life experience, right? And you are enjoying the process, then really results are inevitable, right? Whether they're going to happen for you today or tomorrow or the day after that, it does not matter, right? Because you are in it, you're growing, you are evolving, you are becoming, you're thriving, right? And you get to make money along the way. You get to do a lot of good along the way, right? So that's where we started. That's day one. Then we went into the energetics of magnetic sales. That's really what day 2 was all about, because unfortunately there are a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of leaders, a lot of coaches that don't feel comfortable with sales, right? They have all sorts of emotions swirling around that particular topic, subject, and crucial piece of business, right? So that's what day 2 was all about. And then we started to get practical. On day 3, we talked about picking the right offer that could actually hold your vision and that could actually support you in the financial goal that you have for yourself. And then yesterday we talked about money pathways, right? And making sure that you have these really clear pathways through which people, opportunities, and the energy can flow to you, and what is required on your end in order to keep the energy flowing, right? Because that's what it always going to boil down to, is energetic flow, and then your tactical, practical, strategic approach to make sure that you're supporting the flow, right? Because anytime things feel more complicated than what they need to be, they feel stagnant, they are unpredictable or inconsistent, that means that there is kinks in the hose, right? Like the energy is not flowing. And so the more we can remove the unnecessary friction, the more we can be mentally, emotionally, spiritually on board with what we are doing, and the more we can simplify the business itself, the better off we're going to be, right? Everything we have been covering and everything we're going to cover today is in the accompanying playbook that goes hand in hand with this challenge. Now, it's been a crazy morning, y'all, which means, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that, but I have not had a chance to pop today's stuff into the playbook yet. I will do it right after we are done. So just be patient with me, okay? I'm gonna pop it in right after we're done today. But besides that, everything we have been covering is in the playbook. If you don't have your playbook, that means that you're new to this challenge, to this space, to these live trainings. So DM me the word challenge and I will get the playbook over to you. It's my gift to you. You can keep it, okay? You can use it. Just please don't, just be in integrity and don't go out there and take these concepts and present them as your own, okay? Because everything that I'm sharing with you here and inside of the playbook is essentially a distilled version of the last 2 decades of my life and of my professional journey. And there is so much more that I could give, right? But I try to really distill the essence of what I believe is going to be most supportive to you in this season if you want to make new money, right? Without adding shit ton of work to your plate, right? What do I mean by new money? New money means it's the kind of money that's not on the books yet, right? These are new opportunities. These are new people, new conversations, new expansion, right? And we want to do it as effectively and as efficiently, right, as possible. The idea is not for you to work 80, 90-hour weeks. Like, that's no fun, right? We want things to be simple. We want to have fun executing the things. And we want to ultimately make ourselves available to receive the abundance that's always trying to find its way to us, right? So, all of that is to say, I think now we're all caught up to speed. All of that is to say, okay, if you are still doubting your goal, if you're like, I don't know if I can do that, I'm scared I won't be able to do that, go back to day 1. Okay, go back to day 1 and make sure that you are using the certainty planning worksheet that I shared with you every single day. Okay, because the more you can cultivate certainty within, the more you will see the reflection of it, right, in your life, right? So if you still have doubt, hesitation, fear, uncertainty around the goal itself, go back to day 1. If you do have certainty in the goal, right, and you're like, no, I can do it. I've done it before. I can do it. I trust myself to do it. But you still feel uncomfortable, you feel weird around sales conversations, enrollment conversations, inviting people, talking to people, and facilitating, right? The conversation that will support others, right? Then go back to day 2. Right? And really get clear and give yourself an opportunity to clear any remaining misconceptions that you have around sales and any old stagnant energy that you still might be holding from past experiences, right? Because if you have that, if you're still punishing yourself for past experiences, right, then you're literally blocking the new things that are trying to make their way to you, right? So that's that. But let's say you have certainty, you feel good about sales, you're just unsure what you should be selling and what you should be focused on, right? Because we talked at length about how money comes from other people, right? And if we want to make more money, we need to serve more people and we need to serve them better, right? So go back to day 3, because day 3, we talked about what makes self-selling offers. Like what makes a really, really good offer that people will want to say yes to, right? But let's say you have certainty, you feel good about sales, you know what your offer is, you're just like, I don't know where people are gonna come from, right? If you don't know where people are gonna come from, go back to day 4, because that's where we talked about creating money pathways and creating avenues for people to come into your life to find you and for you to find them. Right? So from that perspective, you have everything you need, okay, in order to absolutely crush it. Now, just because you have certainty, just because you are on board with the importance of sales, and just because you are excited to sell the heck out of whatever it is that you got, right? And just because you have clear money pathways and you understand the stages that each sales process goes through, right? From connection to conversation to conversion. Just because you have all of those things and you are clear and you are excited does not mean that people are going to say yes right away. I wish it did, right? I wish it did, but it doesn't mean that people are going to say yes right away. And there are so many reasons for it. So today we're going to talk about how to create the right conditions for people to say yes, and how to create the right conditions for them to say yes pretty quickly. Okay. Also, I really want to talk about how you can take the energy and the momentum that we stirred up this week, because I don't know if you are feeling fired up. I know I am feeling fired up, right? Because every time I circulate the ideas and the genius and the downloads, right? And the knowledge and the experience and the expertise, every time I make it available this way, right? I make new connections for myself. I get inspired, I have new ideas. And so if you're feeling more fired up this week than you were last week before we started this journey, you want to keep that going, right? You want to keep the momentum going, and you want to not only set yourself up for success going into the rest of the year, but then also set the tone for 2026, right? Because it's almost that time, y'all. It's, you know, I went to CVS earlier today and like Christmas stuff everywhere. And I was like, I am not ready. I'm not ready for Mariah Carey to come out just yet. So, let's dive in. Are you all ready? Let me take a sip of coffee. Okay. Just because someone doesn't say yes right away doesn't mean they don't want to. I'm going to say that one more time. Just because someone doesn't say yes right away doesn't mean they don't want to. What it usually means is that the the right conditions have not been fully met. Because decisions, okay, contrary to popular opinion, decisions don't take time. Decisions need the right conditions, okay? Now, I know some of us are more decisive than others. Some of us make decisions faster than others, right? And a lot of it just has to do with who we are and our personality, right? Some of it, if you are into human design, right, you might have your way of making decisions, right? Some of it also has to do with just your internal level of awareness and readiness, right? And just a certain degree of lived experience, right? And I believe that one of the most valued qualities of entrepreneurship is people's ability to make decisions, right? Because we all like to work with the decisive people, but we oftentimes, in wanting to work with the decisive people, in wanting to work with self-aware, self-responsible, action-taking leaders, we forget to take a look at how we show up and how quickly and powerfully and cleanly we make decisions in our own lives and our own businesses, right? So in entrepreneurship and in leadership in general, your ability to make clean and powerful decisions says a lot about just who you are and where you are at, right? And as someone, right, who wants to either hold space for others or support others or enroll others, understanding what goes into a decision-making process is going to be so incredibly supportive for you not to take people's answers personally, okay? So I want to invite you to take a moment and look back on a time when you made a powerful decision. Or you can look back on a moment where you really wanted to make a decision, right? You really wanted to say yes. You really wanted to take the leap, but there was something in you that didn't allow for that, right? And so even though you wanted to make a decision, you didn't, right? So just think of a moment, whatever the first moment comes to you is perfect, right? And then see if you can identify some of the key factors that went into that decision-making process, okay? Because this is the downfall of, bite-size information age that we live in, right? It's so easy to throw around these cliche statements of like, yeah, readiness is just a decision, readiness is just a choice, being ready is a myth. And I will be the first one to admit that, yes, I truly believe that we were all born ready. But when we say those blanketed statements, right, they can give us this quick boost of inspiration and quick boost of motivation, but they don't really support the process from a grounded and well-rounded perspective. Because if you were to dig deeper into your process of making that decision, or your process of wanting to make that decision, but for whatever reason not making that decision, you will see that there was 4 key factors, okay? The first factor is the factor of alignment. Deep down, you knew that it was right for you. You might have still felt scared. It might have still been like a scary, stretchy decision, but deep down, you knew that it was right and it felt expansive, right? So that's first. Alignment is factor number 1. Timing is factor number 2, okay? You were at a place and point in time where you could give that decision the attention and the energy that it deserved, right? So the timing was right. You're like, okay, I have the energy, I have the attention, let's do it. That's the second factor. The third factor was it was supportive of the priorities that you had. So it matched what was truly important to you in that moment, in that phase, in that season of life and business, right? It was aligned, and there was this synergistic connection with your priorities, right? And then the fourth factor is the factor of resources. You either had, or you could access, or you could generate the necessary financial, emotional, and energetic resources in order to give this decision, right, the focus that it needed, right? You had the bandwidth to hold that decision, and you trusted yourself to get the return on that decision. Think about it, right? Those are the factors. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, I was ready. Like, no, there was a little bit more that went into that. There was internal alignment. The timing was right for you. It was a match in line with your priorities, and you had the resources, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, practically, right? You had the bandwidth to give it the commitment that was necessary, and you trusted that if you were to make that decision, you would get the return on that decision, right? Whatever the return is. And as leaders, which is all of you here, right? Which is me too. As leaders, it is our responsibility to create the same right and ripe conditions for the right people to say yes quickly. Okay, nothing is more painful than a really slow, really drawn out, really complicated sales process, right? You want to create the right, ripe conditions for people. So I'm gonna walk you through exactly what it looks like, right? And what you need to do in order for that to be the case. But first, I want to share with you a story that literally happened with me 4 weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago. So back in the day, in my younger, more impressionable days, I would always be working with multiple coaches, guides at the same time, okay? And this stems from my professional ballroom dancing career. It was absolutely normal for everyone to have 3, 4, 5 coaches at the same time, right? And so I've always had I was always open to the idea to have, a mentor, a guide, someone that supports you on your journey, right? It was just kind of like, that's what you do. If you want to compete, if you want to win, if you want to operate at a certain level, it's only natural that you have someone in your corner. Better yet, you have multiple people in your corner, right? So I've always worked with coaches. And when I went into entrepreneurship, I started to work with a lot of coaches. Now, I don't regret any of it whatsoever, but I didn't always understand the importance of integrating the growth, right? Because life is seasonal, life is cyclical, right? If you look at nature, it goes and moves through different seasons, right? There is a winter, and then there is spring, and then there is summer, and then there is fall, right? There is always that seasonality, right? And the same happens for us internally. Like if you're a woman on this call, right, live or on the replay, we go through 4 seasons every single month, right? So it's only natural for us to move through different seasons. And what this looks like on your journey as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a leader, is that you're going to go through seasons of expansion where you're going to stretch yourself and you're going to grow and you're going to reinvent yourself and you're going to reach for these newer levels, right? And then there is what should happen is the season of integration, right? You want to anchor that expansion, right? You want to expand and then you want to anchor, because if you don't anchor, if you don't create a new baseline for yourself, what's going to happen is you're going to collapse, you're going to contract, and you're going to join this exhausting roller coaster of high highs, low lows. Personally, I don't buy into that, right? I believe and I function within the paradigm these days, has not always been the case, right? But I function within the paradigm of a consistent upward spiral, right? Where instead of taking yourself through peaks and valleys, you go through seasons of expansion and then you go through a season of integration, right? Where you might dip a little bit, but you're integrating new awarenesses, you're integrating new wisdom, you're integrating new understanding, right? And you're taking a moment to anchor it inside of your system, inside of your business, right? So expansion, integration, expansion, integration. So these days, that's how I function. And I have been in this really delicious season of integration. This was my long-winded way of saying that I have a really solid system of support, but I have not been looking to work with anyone new. It was not, I had no desire, I was not looking, I was not considering, right? I was like, no, I'm good. I'm integrating. I've got my system of support. I feel good, right? And then I came across this random woman. And I was like, click, 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 click. And I was like, interesting, right? I had no idea who she was. I've never seen her before. And she just randomly got suggested in my social media feed. And something about her resonated with me, right? And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm in my season of integration. I don't need anything. I'm not looking for anything. I'm good, right? I'm stable. This feels good. Not necessarily looking to like stretch myself right now, right? And then she started promoting this webinar. And I'm like, I never watch webinars. Like me and what I like to host webinars. I like to host masterclasses, but me watching a webinar is not going to happen. Okay. But she starts promoting this webinar and I was like, I know I'm not going to watch this webinar, but I'm going to register and then possibly watch the replay of the webinar on double speed. I don't have the patience to sit through anything on normal speed. So I really appreciate you all being here with me live. I watch everything on a replay and on double speed, okay? I don't know if it's a good thing or not so much, but so far it seems to work for me. So I registered for this webinar and I started receiving email reminders, right? Like, hey, the webinar, where's the webinar, where's the webinar? And I had an open afternoon, so I was like, okay, let me check out this webinar. Well, I was really pissed that I could not watch it on double speed. It would not let me watch it on double speed. So I was like, okay, let me see. And then I started watching the webinar, right? And I'm going through the webinar and I'm like, I feel seen. I feel really seen. Everything she's saying, I'm clear, I'm resonating, I'm understanding, I feel safe based on how she's presenting this information. Long story short, one thing led to another, led to another, led to another. Before the day was over, I bought the program. This is someone who had no desire to work with anyone. This is someone who was not interested, was not looking, and I just click, ended up on this webinar, right? On the replay of the webinar. Long story short, I bought the thing. Really glad I bought the thing. And it inspired me to reflect on what happened that led to such a quick decision. Okay, because yes, I'm a decisive person, but these days when it comes to making investments, I don't just do it on the spot, right? I always be like, let me sleep on it. I just want to double, triple, quadruple confirm that I want to do this, right? but I made the decision pretty fast. And so I started reflecting, because what she did really, really well, right, is she created the right conditions for me to say yes, right? And the information that she was presenting and what she was talking about was in alignment with me. The timing was right, even though I didn't even have the awareness that I needed this thing, right? It was in line with my priorities in the season that I'm already have been focused on, right? And I had the resources to make the decision, right? Mentally, spiritually, practically, financially, I had the resources to say yes before the day was over. So here is what this looks like practically, so that you know how to do the same for your people, okay? So first, you want to have clarity, right? We've talked about it this entire week. You want to know exactly what it is that you're offering. You want to know exactly who you are offering it to, and you want to be crystal clear on how is it going to help them. You don't need to over-explain. You don't need to convince. You don't need to overgive in your attempt to please them, because, you know, you have this tendency that if they're just going to like you enough, they're going to buy from you. None of that, right? You're clear. They are clear, right? They understand who you are, what you do, how you could help them, and also what to do next, right? They're not confused. And because they're not confused, they're clear, right? So clarity is what pierces through the overwhelm that is so natural for all of us these days, just because of how much we get bombarded with, right? And what this actually looks like is there is a very simple message that speaks their language. So in the story that I shared with you, she was speaking my language, right? She was using the words that I use to myself. She was voicing my worries. She was voicing my concerns. She was voicing the questions that I had with such precision that I was like, you are in my head. Like, I feel so seen, right? And so what this looks like for you is like simplify, and speak their language, and then pace yourself. Don't try to skip through the stages. Don't try to rush the process, right? Pace yourself so that you can actually support people through the sales process, right? Well, at every juncture, give them a clear next obvious step. Don't leave them hanging. Don't leave them wondering what's going to happen next. Always have a clear next step. So that's condition number 1, right? Condition number 2 is specificity. Specificity, right? I want to invite you to stop hiding behind vague language, right? You want to be as precise and as specific as possible so that you can name their problem better than they can. You want to be that precise, right? Because the more precise, the more specific you can be, the more seen, felt, and understood they're going to be, right? And the more they will be able to see themselves working with you, buying from you, partnering with you, right? So what this looks like is offering very clear, very specific examples. What this looks like is replacing abstract language, freedom, alignment, transformation, generational wealth. Like, yes, it's beautiful. It makes me feel good, but what does that mean? What does freedom mean? Does freedom mean that I can buy whatever I want without looking at a price tag? Does freedom mean that other people's opinions no longer bother me? Does freedom mean that I can open up the Skyscanner app right now and buy a plane ticket and go wherever I want? Like, what does freedom mean, right? So you want to move away from these abstract concepts and really bring it like grounded, right? Specify it, because the more specific you can be, the more seen and understood they're gonna feel, right? Condition number 3, unbothered energy. You want to have unbothered energy around you. What does this mean? For you, it means that you are detached from the outcome. Whether they say yes or they say no, it does not matter, because to you, you understand that every no opens the door to 10 yeses. There is no shortage of people. There is no shortage of opportunity. And so you are unbothered by the specific outcome of a specific situation. You know who you are. You know your value. You trust the perfection of your path. You trust the timing of your path. And if you want them to say yes, you want it for them. You don't want it for you. You don't, like, if you get excited for them and passionate, that's because you are excited for them, not because them saying yes and what that's going to do for you, right? Because that's needy energy, okay? So what unbothered energy means for them is they will feel that you are detached. They will feel that you are committed, you are devoted, but you don't need them, right? And the less pressure there is, the more they're gonna lean in. Now, the less pressure, what do I mean by that? Because sometimes you do want to hold the discomfort within a sales conversation, right? It's actually a really powerful space to hold discomfort, right? But you don't want to pressure people, right? Again, from that like desperate, needy space, because yesterday we talked what happens when you begin to chase things. When you begin to chase things, things run away, right? And so when you are in those conversations and in the environment with your potential clients and partners, you want to have unbothered energy where you have emotional conviction, right, in your vision and also in what's possible for them. But if they say no, it's not your loss, it's their loss. Does that make sense? Right? And so what this looks like is you do want to practice what we discussed on day 2, right? Which is that having that calm, energetically congruent, connected energy, and being really clean, right? And frictionless on the topic of sales, right? You want to be energetically available and you want to be proactive in your leadership, but you don't want to be desperate, okay? And then fourth condition is the condition of integrity-based urgency. You want to have urgency, not because you're faking it, not because you're like, this is the last time I remember doing it. And then like you say that every single day. Like I see certain ads, for example, right? Have you seen ads where they're like, 50% off ends today, 50% off ends today. And then like I see it today and tomorrow and the day after that and next week. And it's just like that's the hypey energy that you want to stay away from, right? You want to create integrity-based urgency. So how do you do that? So first, you want to ask the right questions so that they understand what their urgency is, right? This is the question of why now? Why is now the time? Why is now the priority? Why it's important for you to focus on this now? Because if they don't have urgency, it doesn't matter what urgency you create, there's going to be a disconnect, right? But if you ask the right questions and they are clear on why it's a priority for them right now, and then you create, let's say, a time-sensitive bonus or a time-sensitive incentive, right? Or a time-sensitive opportunity that makes sense for the person, that's match made in heaven. They are clear on why is it a priority for them, and then you create the right condition for that integrity-based urgency to match, right? And so if I were to dissect what happened and how I ended up buying that program before the day was even over, even though I was not looking, is because all of those conditions were met, right? There was clarity, mutual clarity. There was specificity, right? There was no vagueness whatsoever. There was unbothered energy, right? And then there was integrity-based urgency. I bought it that particular day because I got $1,000 off. If there was no $1,000 off today, I maybe would have bought it later that week. I maybe would have bought it the following week. But because there was $1,000 off before the end of the day, I bought it that day, right? Even though I had no idea who the woman was. And so I'm sharing all of this with you yet again so that we can keep eliminating the unnecessary confusion and complexity that so many people have inside of their businesses. Because when you clearly understand the ingredients that go into this recipe, you feel equipped and empowered to make the dish. You see what I mean? Like, you know the ingredients that go into it. You're not gonna master it on first go, but the more you practice, the more comfortable, the more confident, the more equipped you're going to be. Does that make sense? Now, decisions don't need time. I'm going to say that. I said it earlier, but I'm going to say it again. Decisions don't need a lot of time. Decisions need the right conditions. We just went through the right conditions, okay? And again, all of this is in the playbook, or it will be in the playbook after we are done, okay? But here's what's going to happen, okay? So you've got, if you do everything we talked about, if you actually implement it, okay, which a lot of people have been messaging me like, hey, Maria, this is so amazing. Thank you so much for doing it. Like, do you want a testimonial? Like, what can I give you? Like, I want to do something for you in exchange for this amazing experience. And I'm like, thank you. If you would like to share your experience, I will receive it. But the biggest form of feedback from you is going to be that you apply the stuff. Just if you apply the stuff, this is what's going to make me happy. So that on Christmas, you can message me, be like, hey, I've got receipts. I did the thing. Watch. I did the thing. I've implemented the thing. Here are my results. I'm celebrating, okay? Because I want to be celebrating with you, okay? So just side note, okay? Just apply the stuff. But if you take everything that we've been discussing so far and you actually put it into action, you don't kill it with your overthinking, but you actually get in motion, okay? And you stay in motion for the next 7 weeks, here's what's going to happen, okay? People are going to start coming to you. You're going to start finding people. You're going to be in conversations with people, okay? You're going to be creating the right conditions for them to say yes. And then they're gonna have objections. People are gonna have objections. And when they have objections, please, please, please channel your inner Maria and don't freak out, okay? Because a lot of people freak out when they get objections. They're like, oh my God, what do I do now? You talk to people. You stay in your unbothered energy first and foremost, and you get curious. You train yourself to see objections through the lens of leadership, because objections don't mean that people are rejecting you. Objections don't mean that you did stuff wrong, right? Objections are literally information and a confirmation that people are in the conversation with you and they are seeking deeper clarity. That's what objections are. Objections are literally people saying, please help me understand this better. Please help me trust this decision better. Please help me alleviate some of my fears and concerns so that I can do this thing that I want to do, that I'm scared to do. That's what objections are, right? So really, the moment you start seeing objections as an opportunity to create greater safety and have clearer communication, right? And a chance to strengthen the conditions for them to say yes, you will be excited to welcome the objections. You will be like, bring them on. Now, of course, there are ways for you to pre-address objections, right? In your marketing, in how you present your offer. There's all these things that you can do ahead of time to minimize the objections that are going to happen inside of the dedicated sales conversation itself. But first, you want to reframe objections as an opportunity, okay? And whenever you get objections from people, okay, you want to know that they are like, what people say is not what people actually mean, okay? This is why you don't want to take objections at face value. Objections in and of themselves are code language, right? For the conditions are not quite right yet. Okay, so you want to learn how to decode the language, okay? You learn to decode the language by first and foremost staying curious rather than getting defensive. Because oftentimes what happens, people give you an objection and then people are like, I gotta fight this thing, I gotta defend this thing. And they get all defensive about the objection, right? Especially if it's a charged one for them, right? So you want to kind of like dissolve your own energetic and emotional charge around the objections. You just want to stay curious, right? So I'm going to walk you through some of the most common objections. It doesn't matter what you sell, okay? Obvious one, I don't have the money. I would really like to buy these things, but I don't have the money. Ever heard that one before, right? What this really means, oftentimes, more often than not, is that it's not a priority. I don't have the money means it's not a priority, okay? And that's so that's first, right? I don't have the money means it's not a priority. When someone says I don't have the money, first and foremost, don't fight them. Never fight people when they have objections. Just please don't do that, okay? You say, yeah, no worries at all, no big deal. I mean, most people don't have the money, right, when they explore something like this. But you want to first, because you now understand that whatever the objection is not the real thing more often than not, right? Sometimes it is, if it's a very sophisticated, conscious buyer. But more often than not, whatever they say is not actually the thing, right? So when it comes to the money objection, you want to first make sure that it's the money that's the issue. And the way you do that is by isolating the objection, right? So you want to confirm that if they did have the money, they would be a fuck yes and moving forward, right? So if they say, hey, I don't have the money, you want to say, okay, no worries at all. Just so I'm clear, if you did have the money to invest, you would be a yes, okay? You will be surprised what happens after that. Some people are like, yeah, oh my God, I would totally be a yes. Some people will be like, yeah, actually, right? And then you find the realer, truer, more authentic reason as to what's going on for them, right? So that's first. The second objection, also a very common one, right? I don't have the time. I don't have the time. This is not the right time. I'm already so busy, right? Great. What it also means that it's not a priority. I don't have the time simply means it's not a priority for me right now, because we all make time, right? We all make time for the things that are important to us. And if you say you don't have time for this, all it means is that it's not important for you right now, right? So same thing here, you want to dig a little bit deeper, right? So if you did have the time, would you be moving forward, right? And then you want to open the conversation to really coach them through whatever their internal obstacle is, right? Because most likely if they are short for time, right? If anything, they need to make time so that they can have time. Does that make sense? Third one, also very common one. This sounds great, but I need to think about it. Awesome. Yes, totally. All that means is, hey, I'm not clear. I need to think about it means I'm not clear and I don't trust this decision yet. That's what that means, right? So you want to identify what they're not clear on. You're going to say, of course, that totally makes sense, right? It makes sense that you want to think it through and make a very, conscious decision. Help me understand, what else can I clarify for you? What else is unclear for you, right? And then you just go a little deeper. You don't take it at face value, you go deeper, right? You stop playing on the surface and you ask the right questions. Not fight them, ask the right questions. Tell me more. What do you need? What do you mean by that? What else could I offer? What question can I answer? What can I clarify for you to see this for yourself? Okay? Next one. I've tried something like this in the past and it did not work. Also a very common one, right? Same thing. I'm not clear on how this is different from what I've tried in the past, and so I don't trust this decision. That's what that means, right? I'm not clear. I don't trust this. Oh, I've worked with a coach before. I didn't get the results I wanted. Oh, I've done this before. I didn't get the results I wanted, right? And they are not clear on how whatever you're inviting them into is different, okay? Same, you have an opportunity to have a more intimate conversation. Right? Makes sense. Of course, if I wasn't sure how this is different, I wouldn't be moving forward either. I wouldn't be saying yes either, right? And then you want to go and explore, okay? And then the last one, at least in the context of this, right, and today is, okay, let me talk to my partner. Let me talk to my wife. Let me talk to my husband. Let me talk to my business partner, right? Same thing. Code language for I don't trust this decision yet, okay? There's nothing wrong with talking to your partner. It's amazing when couples, partners, right, life partners, business partners make decisions together. Would you want to clarify in that particular situation whether they're going to be informing their partner of the decision they've already made and enlisting their partner's support, or if they're going to be asking for permission from their partner? Because those are going to be very different conversations, right? And you as the leader get to support them depending on what it is once you've asked the clarifying questions. Does that make sense? So if you do everything we did this challenge, right, and you have actively having conversations with people and you understand what goes into creating the right conditions for them to say yes, and you begin to welcome objections from people, right, you will start to see that every conversation, right, like, unless the decision is clear, okay? I always say this, if you're my client, if you're in my world, you have heard me say this a million times, but the purpose of a sales conversation is not to convert. It's not to have them say yes. The purpose of a sales conversation, whether it's happening like this, on a Zoom, on the phone, in DMs, the purpose of a sales conversation is to help them arrive at a clear decision that they can look back on and say, you know what, that was the best thing I could have done for myself. And if that decision involves you, amazing. If that does not involve you, amazing. That is the purpose of a sales conversation, right? You want them to arrive at a clear decision. What is a clear decision? Yes, I would like to do this. No, thank you. Those are clear decisions. Yeah, I would really like to do it, but insert story, insert limitation, insert excuse. That's not a clear decision, right? And so you want to just stay attuned to that and go, okay, is this a clear decision? And how can I support them in arriving at a clear decision so that it's really yes, thank you, no, thank you. Those are clear decisions. Anything that has a but and then a really long story, justification, explanation, limitation, you name it, right? That's an opportunity for transformation if it's the person, if you're in conversation with someone you would want to work with. If you're in conversation with someone you are not sure you want to work with, you're not sure if you want them to buy from you, then, obviously proceed accordingly. But if it's someone you really want to work with, then don't take it personally. Just be like, hey, are you open to receiving some coaching around it? Are you open to a different way of looking at it? Are you open to are you open to me supporting you in how you can see this differently, right? So objections, amazing. Opportunities, okay? These are opportunities for deeper, clearer, more intimate conversation. All of it is a data point for you. And the more conversations you're going to have, the more data you're going to have, right? The more equipped you're going to be, right? To support people moving forward and pre-address objections ahead of time. Okay. Let me just see this question. How do you get them to make a clear decision based on their husband's input? If someone really needs, so the way you do this, if someone really needs to consult their partner and the husband, so you want to first know and you want to ask them if they are the primary decision maker, right? So usually this is in your pre-qualification process. You want to say, are you the decision maker, or you will need to be consulting somebody else when making the decision. If they say, oh no, I need to consult my husband before I make any decisions, truthfully, you want both of them on a call, right? That's how you pre-address it. That's how you navigate it ahead of time, okay? Now, yay to objections. We are no longer shying away from objections, okay? This is the last part of today, and this is the last part of this challenge, okay? You ready for this? You don't have the time you think you have. I'm going to say that again. You don't have the time you think you have. So if we look at this challenge, right, and it's 20K by Christmas. Christmas is 7 weeks away. Right? So you think most likely right now to yourself, you're like, oh, I've got 7 weeks to hit my goal. And let's say you set the goal of 20K, you're like, oh, I've got 7 weeks to hit my goal of 20K. No, you don't. Because if you think you have 7 weeks, here is what's going to happen. Life is going to get in the way because you're like, oh, I've got 7 weeks, right? You don't have 7 weeks. You've got 7 weekly attempts. Did you get that? You don't have 7 weeks. You've got 7 attempts, 1 week each. Don't you love it? This is how you want to gamify the process, right? Because if you look at it as one linear trajectory of 7 weeks, right? You'll be like, oh, I've got time. I'm good. I will do this next week, right? But if you see it as 7 attempts, 1 week each, then guess what? You're going to think creatively. You're going to think resourcefully. You're like, I need to expand my own horizon, my own thinking, my own capacity to such a degree that I take the goal I think I have for 7 weeks and I do it in a week, right? Because again, we started this challenge on the premise that there is someone less qualified than you, less experienced than you, less caring than you, making a lot more money than you, who's already made 20K this morning, right? So they've already did that. And here you are thinking you need 7 weeks. They didn't think they needed 7 weeks. They just like, no, I need like 7 hours. Watch me, right? And so this is how we want to keep ourselves on our own toes, right? So that we can think creatively, so that you can really be in the rhythm, okay? Let me just plug the phone in because it might die. 1 second, guys. You want to get in the rhythm, okay? Why having a rhythm is important, okay? Ex-professional dancer here, right? If you want to dance, right? You dance to, obviously, you dance to music most of the time, right? The music in your head or the music that's actually playing. And what makes it fun? The rhythm makes it fun, right? And so when you have a certain bass rhythm, then the melody on top is like, ooh, this feels amazing, right? I feel it. I'm in a whole different universe. Yes, right? But the foundation is the rhythm. It's the cadence. Your desired momentum in your business is going to be a byproduct of a rhythm. Okay, you want to get in motion, you want to stay in motion, and you want to create a rhythm that's going to have a compound effect. And so instead of seeing it as a linear 7-week journey, you want to see it as weekly attempts and you have 7 of them, and every week you decide and you act. Then you reflect, you adjust, and then you repeat. Decide, act, reflect, adjust, repeat. Right? Decide, act, reflect, adjust, repeat. Like, that's your rhythm, because truthfully, regardless of what your goal is, if you go, okay, how can I do it, right? How can I do it this week? If I knew I could do it this week, how would I do it? And then you begin to ideate, okay? So please, like, this is how you keep the momentum going way beyond just this week. I know we stirred up a lot this week, right? In terms of clarity, inspiration, ideas, all the good stuff, right? You want to keep it going. Don't rely on me. Sure, I've got infinite supply, but you want to tap into your own infinite supply, right? And you tap into your own infinite supply by staying in motion and remembering, right, of what the name of the game is. And then you decide, act, reflect, adjust, repeat every single week. So as part of today's homework, and this is your final homework, y'all, okay, you want to create what I call a momentum map, okay? So you know that you've got 7 weeks. You've got 7 attempts, 1 week each. Make a plan. Don't stay hoping, wishing, right, that things are just gonna appear out of nowhere. There might, but the chances of them appearing out of nowhere are much higher when you do your part. If you don't do your part, if you're just gonna sit there passively waiting, hoping someone is gonna come and save you, you're gonna be waiting a long time. Nobody's coming. Nobody's coming, right? It's you and you. So you want to create a momentum map. It's going to be in your playbook, but you want to take a stab at, okay, week 1, what's my attempt? What's my plan? Week 2, how I'm going to take the lessons that I learned in week 1, apply them to week 2. What's my plan? Then you go, okay, how do I take my learnings and growings on Monday and on the week 1 and week 2 and put them into week 3? Then on week 4, you go, how do I take everything I've learned in week 1, 2, and 3 and put it in week 4, right? This is how we refine our own process. This is how we keep removing the unnecessary complexity and confusion. And this is how we keep going back to simplicity, right? Because simplicity is what scales. Complexity is always going to fail, okay? So you will find it in your playbook. I really encourage you to take yourself through that process. And then I have just a handful of final reflections for you, okay? A couple of questions that you might want to consider just journaling on, meditating on, be with over the weekend, right? Because everything, truthfully, right? Everything we've covered in like this week, sure, it was on the surface, it was about sales. On the surface, it was about how do you make new money without adding shit ton of work to your plate. But in reality, we've been having, right, a leadership conversation. How do I lead myself? How do I lead myself with clarity, with conviction, so that those that I am meant to work with will naturally follow? That's the conversation, right? And we do not attract anything or anyone that we chase. We only attract what we embody. So it has been a leadership conversation. And even though the challenge, even though the trainings end this week, right? They end today. Your momentum does not have to. You literally have 7 weeks before Christmas to impress yourself, okay? So here are my final reflections for you, okay? How can you take the clarity that you created this week for yourself inside of this challenge, and how can you make it a permanent default way of being rather than a temporary motivation? Right? I said, I've got infinite supply, and because I've connected to my source, okay? You ultimately want to tap into your source so that you can have your own infinite supply of energy, of clarity, of inspiration, right? So you want to ask yourself, how can you make this clarity and this inspiration that you feel this week as a result of everything we've done together, and how can you make it your default state of being, okay? My second reflection, my final reflection for you is, what top 3 actions, if repeated daily, okay, for the next 7 weeks would make your financial goal inevitable? What 3 actions, if repeated daily for the next 7 weeks, would make your goal inevitable? I love you all, but you can do 3 things every single day for 7 weeks, okay? You just need to pick the right 3 things. What are those things? Set yourself up for success. Don't just like wake up tomorrow and be like, what should I do today? No, decide ahead of time. What is my highest impact activity that if I do this activity, that my goals are going to be inevitable? What is that highest impact activity? You probably want to tend to yourself, right? You want to do your journaling, your praying, your practices, right? You probably want to do some form of marketing, right? And being visible so that people can find you. And then you want to probably figure out how you're going to be having sales conversations. How are you getting yourself booked out, scheduled out with sales conversations so that you can sell out of whatever you want to sell out? Okay, that's the second thing. What top 3 actions, if repeated daily for the next 7 weeks, will make your financial goal in the season inevitable? Okay. And then third, final question is, who do you want to become in the process? Who do you want to become in the process? Do you want to become someone who is unbothered, someone who is devoted to the quality of life that they want for themselves, someone who loves people so much that you make a conscious decision every single day to show up, to serve, and to give? Are you someone who loves making sales because you see every sale as a sacred exchange and as a validation of transformation that's happening? Like, who do you want to become in this process? Do you want to become someone who just attracts money from all directions? Like, do you want to become someone who loves marketing and promoting their business? Do you want to become someone who does less and creates more? Do you want to become someone who always crushes their goals? Like, who do you want to become in this process? Okay? And again, those questions are in your playbook. They will be in your playbook right after we are done, right? But really take yourself through that process, because I thoroughly enjoyed sharing this with you all this week. And I do have an invitation, because I know a lot of you have been hanging out and coming and joining in every single day. I see you. Thank you. I hope and I trust that this was tremendously helpful for you, and you will keep coming back to this for weeks, months, years to come, right? And it serves you for a very long time. But if you know that you are in your breakthrough season, what I call, right? And you are on the edge of your next big evolution, right? You're on the edge, on the precipice of what's next for you, then I would love to have a conversation with you. Because if you are looking for a coach, guide, mentor to have in your corner to support you through this process, I would love to explore if we are a mutual fit, if I can support you, and if I am the right person to support you. There is plenty of opportunities in which we could work together, in which we could co-create. And so somewhere in the description, there will be an application link. Just apply, right? Because I want to understand your situation, right? Once I understand your situation, if I feel like I could truly support you, we'll get on a call, we'll chat through it, and we'll see what options we have, right? So either DM me the word breakthrough and I'll send you the link to the application, or find the link somewhere in the description, right, of this video, so that you can go ahead and you can apply, and then I'll guide you through all of the steps from here on out. What a journey, my loves. This brings our 5-part series to the end. If you've enjoyed this as much as I did, that's because you brought yourself to the table. Okay, I shared this with you all the way at the beginning. I invited you to treat this as something you paid for. I invited you to treat it as something that you can really, really immerse yourself in, right? And I really want to celebrate each and every single one of you for showing up, for doing the work, for leaning in, for playing full out, because like the truthfully, now the journey begins. This was preparation. This week was you packing your suitcase. Now the suitcase is packed. It's time to go on an adventure. And that adventure is what? You giving yourself the experience of you hitting your goal while applying and implementing everything that we covered this week. Take what resonated with you and go and master it. Take what activated you and go and act on it. Take what inspired you and then go and make it your own. As I said, your best, most fabulous form of feedback for this experience is that you go and you do the thing. Just go and do the thing. Your next 7 weeks are going to be incredible. I hold the vision for each and every single one of you that you have the most expansive, the most fulfilling, the most abundant, the most delicious, and the most satisfying runway from now and until the end of this year, so that at the end of this year, as you're popping your champagne or, enjoying your favorite beverage for my sober curious friends, right? And you are celebrating 2025, that you look back on this final stretch of the year and you go, I fucking did that. I did that. I am so proud of me for the way that I showed up for me, for the way that I showed up for my vision, for my desires, for my goals, for my potential, for my inspiration, right? And then imagine your loved ones, your friends, your family saying, you did that, girl. I'm so fucking proud of you. You did that. You really showed up for yourself. I knew you could do it. I had no doubt you could do it. I'm so proud of you. You fucking crushed it, right? And be in that energy, right? This is the game. No one makes the rules but you. So go out there, make your own rules, take what I shared with you, go put it into action, go master it, go make it your own, use it to your benefit, use it to your advantage. And if you know that you are in your breakthrough season and you do want to work with a coach, with a guide, with a mentor, let's explore that. I'm here, I'm open, I'm available. Send me the word breakthrough or click the link somewhere in this description. And then take yourself through the application so that I can learn a little bit more about what's going on in your life and in your business, and if I can actually support you, and we will go from there. On that note, I see you. I love you. Thank you for giving me your time, your energy, your attention. The playbook is yours. The replay will be available until Friday, November 7th. If you want to go back and revisit things, rewatch things. And as always, please share your biggest breakthroughs, insights, takeaways with me. And if you have any questions, please send me a message. On that note, happy Friday, happy Halloween, happy October 31st.
Go be your fabulous self. Go enjoy the process. Go and experience how truly abundant this life is, how truly abundant you are. Go and give yourself the experience of doing what only you know how to do in the way only you know how, so that people can come to you, they can find you, they can work with you, and you can wake up to your own life and to your own business every single day and say, wow, what? I get to do it all over again? Fuck yes. On that note, I love you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will speak soon. Bye, darlings. Bye-bye.